Hey, what is up, mortals? It is Robo Celestial here with a new video for you. Welcome to part 4 of What If Deku Had the Sharingan. I just wanted to greet you guys by just saying, sit back and relax, you're in for a treat. So, we begin. Midoriya's first day at UA proved to be an eventful one. He and Bakugo were some of the first students to arrive. Not long after they took their seats, Katsuki got in an argument with Tenya and Ichako talked with Izuku. The commotion was cut short when Izawa brought them to the school grounds and tested their capabilities, which resulted in Mineta's expulsion. After the first day finished, Deku and Kaken headed home alongside their two new friends. Izuku's second day was much more normal than the first until he had hero basics. All Might told the class that they would be doing battle training, and they all changed into their costumes and went to ground beta. After everyone gathered, All Might split everyone into teams, and the first match was decided to be Team D as the villains and Team A as the heroes. Bakugo and Ida were standing by the paper bomb trying to discuss some sort of strategy. Bakugo quickly took charge and started to the discussion. Listen up, Four Eyes. Don't underestimate Deku, those eyes of his are a problem. Gobsmacked at Katsuki's insistence on not remembering his name, Ida replied with a stern, almost irate tone, I have a name you know. It's Tenya Ida and I implore that you learn it. What do you mean his eyes are a problem? His quirk is super strength, he wouldn't have been able to take down the zero-pointer during the entrance exam if it wasn't. Bakugo sighed in annoyance, you want me to remember your name, do something to make me remember. His quirk is called Sharingan, that boost in strength is nothing compared to what it really does. If it wasn't for the fact that he had a hell of a right hook without using it, that boost to his power wouldn't have been enough for the exam. Ida started to worry about how badly he may have misjudged Midoriya's power. Bakugo, what is Midoriya capable of? Katsuki turned to look Tenya in the eye as he spoke, enhanced strength, speed, reaction time, and sight. He can see up to a cellular level and predict movements just by looking at people. That's not the problem, Ida gulped as Bakugo continued. He can put you under hypnosis if you make eye contact. You can snap out of it once you know you're under, but the nerd's damn good at hiding it. Makes fighting him a pain, and there's no way you're gonna know when you're under, so here's the plan. Ichako and Izuku were standing outside the building that the bomb and their opponents were in. Midoriya was looking over the building as Uraraka tried her best to memorize the map as they started to strategize. Deku, you should look at the map so you won't get lost if we get split up. Izuku's eyes were scanning the windows of the building, going floor by floor as he talked. I already memorized the map when we got it. Uraraka, I found the bomb. Confused, she looked from the map to Midoriya. How did you, Deku? Your eyes? Izuku sheepishly smelled and deactivated his quirk as he turned his head to face her. He explained the capabilities of his quirk to her and that the bomb was on floor 5, much to her amazement. He had also discussed with her the plan he had come up with during the rest of their 5 minutes. Kaken probably doesn't expect us to split up as soon as the match starts, so that's what we'll do. Ida probably knows about my Sharingan, that'll make things more difficult, but I should still be able to handle him. Kaken is the biggest threat. He's used to avoiding eye contact in a fight. I'll confront Ida. Deal with Kaken, I'll join you as soon as I can. Uraraka enthusiastically nodded and gave him a thumbs up and agreed to go along with his plan. Midoriya elaborated on his plan with the remaining time. As soon as All Might announced the start of the match, Midoriya entered through a window on the 3rd level and Uraraka entered through a window on the 5th floor. Izuku took a deep breath and with as much force as he could muster shouted. Kaken. Come out and face me like a man, you coward. The sound of Ida's engines echoed through the floor Midoriya was on. Izuku activated his Sharingan the moment he heard it. Tenya came speeding down the hall Izuku was in, and just as he expected, Tenya was avoiding looking at Izuku's face. Ida rushed past Izuku and sent him flying down the hall he just ran through with an engine-powered kick to the back. Midoriya went face first into the wall he had been sent sailing towards before he hit the ground. Ida took the role as a villain to such a serious extent that it was comedic. He approached Midoriya while taunting him in an unintentionally overdramatic tone. Your tricks won't work on me, hero. Just as my associate said, you've miscalculated. Nyahahahaha. Izuku scurried off and sprinted down an adjacent hallway with Tenya in hot pursuit. He made a show for Tenya of trying to contact Uraraka via his earpiece, and just as he had hoped, his pursuer stopped him. Ida kicked him in the side of his stomach at an upward angle, rocketing him into the ceiling of a hallway parallel to the one they had originally been in, and then plummeting to the floor back first. Before Izuku could get up, Ida stomped onto his back and used one hand to pin Izuku's head to the ground. Tenya taunted him again, "Mwahaha. Give it up, hero scum. You've been beat." Izuku grinned as he responded to Ida, "Thanks for playing along, Ida. Thanks to you, everything's going just as we planned. Uraraka. Now. Before we get back into the story, I would like to say that we've got a second channel called Anime Deep Dive. Anime Deep Dive goes over the hard facts of the anime presented. Now, in case you guys didn't know, we have a third channel called Anime Theory. Anime Theory mainly focuses on a large variety of mind-boggling anime theories. If you are interested in content like this, please go check the description below or click the eye icon in the top right corner. Now, with that out of the way, let's get back into the story. Understanding the implications of Izuku's words, Tenya let up from him a bit as he searched for which direction Ochako would be coming from. Taking the opportunity, he pushed Ida off of him. As Tenya was falling and Izuku was getting up, the two made eye contact. Just as quickly as he fell, Ida got back up and tried to retreat, but it was too late. Before he could reach the end of the hallway, he appeared to be Uraraka standing in his way. He froze, unable to escape. He looked behind him to see that Izuku had started charging at him. When he looked back, Ochako also was following suit. Since she was closer, he grabbed onto her arm before she could make him float. He turned to throw her at Midoriya, who was right next to him, only inches from punching him in the face. Before contact was made, All Might's voice rang through the loudspeaker, "Tenya, Ida has been captured by the heroes." Ida blinked and then looked around. Midoriya and Uraraka were nowhere to be found, and the capture tape was tied around his leg. He thought back to moments before when he accidentally looked Izuku in the eye and realized that he had been hypnotized. Tenya found himself wondering how much of what he experienced had actually happened as he decided to leave the building. Bakugo cursed to himself when he heard All Might's announcement, "Damn it, Four Eyes. You couldn't hold out till I was done with Round Cheeks, could you?" A few minutes after the mock battle started, Ochako had run into the room with the bomb and the two started fighting. Uraraka was staying low and trying to get in as close as possible. He figured as much would happen. Katsuki figured that Deku probably prepared her just in case the two decided to fight. Debris was floating everywhere and chunks of pillar, wall, floor, and ceiling were missing. She'd made the chunks he blasted to smithereens float with her quirk. Since the start, he had been on the winning side of this battle. Uraraka was exhausted, and Bakugo kept blowing back her and whatever was thrown or floated in his way. Nausea started to hit Ochako, but the two continued their little song and dance. She'd run at him. He'd blow her away along with bits of the building and some floating rubble, only for new rubble to be floating and for her to get right back up. Izuku heard All Might's announcement as he was starting to run up the first flight of stairs he'd have to go through. Even with having the entire building plan memorized, it took a minute for him to get up 2 floors. When he entered the area with the bomb, it was covered in smoke and floating bits of what Midoriya assumed were the building. Ochako came flying out of the smoke and violently fell on her back. Izuku ran over to her and helped her up. He explained that everything with Ida went pretty much according to their plan and asked if she was ready for the next step. She nodded and gave him a thumbs up before suppressing the need to throw up. The two barged into the smoke and rubble-filled area. Midoriya kept his eyes looking for any movement that could be Bakugo as he and Uraraka stayed back to back. Ochako was leading the way to where the bomb was while they were trying to find Katsuki. It didn't take long for them to find him. After a short time they heard his voice screaming "damn it," followed by a huge explosion that blew away the smoke, debris and almost Uraraka. Time seemed to freeze for a moment when everything cleared. Kaken looked at them and they stared back. Izuku and Ochako were close to the bomb, way too close for Bakugo to get there in time. He was shocked, but not for long. Anger and instinct soon took over, and he readied himself. Everything seemed like it was moving slower than normal, even for Izuku, but it all happened in an instant. Katsuki pulled the pin on his gauntlet, Izuku tackled Ochako out of the way, the room lit up and the explosion was deafening. Bakugo was the only one to hear that the hero team had won due to his disqualification. He was so caught up in the moment he hadn't realized what he did. He blew up the bomb. Once everything sunk in for him, he cursed himself for getting carried away and helped up Izuku. After explaining that they won, they all evacuated the building and the rest of the matches went on as planned. The rest of the matches were intense after the bar had been set so high by the first one. The only other match that stood out, though, was Team B, Todoroki and Shoji, versus Team I, Ajiro, Hagakure, and Yaoyorozu, due to a few oddities. Todoroki's immense power was able to freeze the entire villain team to the ground aside from Yaoyorozu in one go, and the only person that stood a chance surrendered due to it being 2-on-1. It was an oddly quick match and showed just how far a lot of the students still had to go. When all the matches were over, the students headed back to class. The school day ended and some of the students swarmed Izuku and Katsuki to introduce themselves and talk about their match. After a while of Midoriya talking with them and Bakugo ignoring them, they left for the day alongside Ida and Uraraka. News reporters swarmed the students as they tried to enter UA High, but Izawa quickly saved them from the harassment. Homeroom was spent deciding who should be class president, and shortly after lunch turned into chaos. The students gathered to head to the USJ, but Izawa noticed something strange as the class was about to start. Thank you all for watching the video to the end.